Thought transfer. What I'm describing here is basically telepathy, mind to mind connection. And this can happen on multiple levels to where you can be interfacing with one intelligence, a group of intelligence. Sometimes you could even say a whole civilization or a whole group collective of intelligences that are working symbiotically. Sometimes you could say there's a hive mind sort of situation going on, but also there are situations where, even though they're symbiotic, a group that you can interface with, they still embrace the individual aspect of each being within that group. And I've experienced this myself, specifically with an Andromedan galaxy group of ascended intelligences. Though I think it's important to bring it back to childhood. If people really think or they reminisce and look back, there's situations throughout our life, our existence. Specifically, we could say at certain times in our life, whether it's traumatic or just off the cuff situations where you know certain things. It's a knowingness in some cases. And as we could say, children come into this world, the souls go into those vessels, they come into this world. They're unprogrammed to an extent, though they're dealing with the epigenetics of the vessel that they're within. But pulling that aside, they are in tune, they're intuitive. There's a connection a lot of the time between the child and the mother on what I would say is a coherent level, but it's sort of not really educated about, looked into. These days, more and more are talking about it. And as the child gets older, there's sort of this disconnect. I believe Rudolf Steiner is somebody that goes into this. I think between like the 7 to 11 area, don't quote me on the exact age, but there's sort of like a push and pull scenario where there's a detachment going on. And that's why kids can be like, come here, help, and then, no, I can do it. There's that sort of thing that goes on. But there's this connection that children have to other realms in their own way. And what happens is, yes, through social engineering, upbringing, education, all these different things, that disconnect can start to happen more and more. And before you know it, they're in high school, they got their life going on, which is great. But with this needs a balance if it's something to be pursued. And I don't think there's any right or wrong way with this. Parents parent their own way, which is fine. Of course, there's situation for safety for children as well as being part of this world at the same time. If those gifts, which are actually normal gifts that we all have, but let's say the development of them, the amplification of them, for some, they're very tapped in, there can be concerns. And so, as I say to a lot of parents, and I'm not a professional in this area whatsoever, in my opinion, but I do say, don't lead the children on. Let them know that they're safe. Let them know that they can come to you about anything and that you're a listening ear. Because we're in a situation where a lot of the children, if not all, are our teachers. And for so long, looking at autism, they're basically just operating on another frequency. And we could say for some, it appears there's a disconnect, but they're more tapped into this reality than what is perceived. Now, there is the other aspect with this as well of the Earth-human experience. We are here to experience the Earth-human experience. But if there's a balance between our gifts and our abilities and being within this experience, there can be a lot of fruit had, and we could say an upping of the human experience. Now, there are the clear senses. I go into this with a lot of different material, but let me just keep this simplified. We've got inner vision, thought, feelings, emotions, and we've got sensation, touch sensation. Now, you could look at things from the perspective of sight, sound, touch, taste, smell as the psychic senses, but I really want to focus on just the mind's eye, where we have the dream state, our inner visions, sensation, and feelings, emotions, and knowingness. Now, sensation, people will be like, what state is that? Touch. Well, you could say in a way, yes. But what's happening is when you get goosebumps, hair standing up, temperature changes, you feel a change of the environment around you. In terms of a psychic connection, whether it's with a spirit, an extraterrestrial, an angel, what have you, what's in effect happening is something's light body is overlapping your light body. And what you'll find over time is that the energy is very independent to each intelligence. Sometimes there can be an overlapping, let's say you feel an energy on your shoulder, you work out it's this being, this spirit, and next time there might be another intelligence overlapping the same area, but it's a lot more intense or less intense. What you've got is a situation to where you will work out who's who by their energy, which also goes into the feeling. How do you feel in the presence of this intelligence? Some can make you extremely teary, giddy, feeling like something's not right, depressed, joy. There's all these different feelings that can come with different intelligences, which is why it's important to clear negative influences before attempting or jumping into anything like this, or even clearing in real time, because it could be a past spirit that was affected by drugs and alcohol, that it's got attachments and now it's in, we could say, a spirit form. It could be purely just a negative energy or spirit, demonic intelligence. Now that's getting a bit extreme, but this is why we've got to take notice of our thoughts, emotions, feelings. Are they ours? Partly of why I'm going into this. Because if you can understand that spirit can communicate, energies can communicate, you feel the energy, that's the sensation I was going on about. Now you go into the thoughts, emotions, and knowingness. There is communication in that. Now, what's communicating? Do you want to communicate with it? Is the information even fruitful? These are key questions, but also if it's negative influences and energies, and you understand your thought process, how you are, how you act, and something is like, it's not my thought, I'm having these thoughts. Well, it could be a number of things going on, including negative influences. It could even be a spirit wanting help, and if they're able to see your light and see that you're tuned in naturally and gifted, which you may not even know, that is another scenario amongst 100 others as well, because doing this and working with so many people, I can tell you now, most people don't realise that they're psychic. And I don't really like the term that much. It's just my own thing. But we've all got these gifts, and because they're not educated on it, I had this thought, I had this idea, I had this epiphany, I had this concept, and, you know, it could have been through like a premonition type situation, then it happens, a prophecy, a prediction. Those things can even come in the dream state as well. But then we come into the mind's eye aspect as well. We're even just purely perceiving a colour and seeing a colour could be the colour of energy that this light being is, or it could be a past loved one that's in an energetic form. Now, you may even actually see a human form, an extraterrestrial form, a number of different things. Now, even when I'm interfacing sometimes, and I could be looking at a craft, or I'm seeing a spirit or a being that's fully materialized, or even other humans, I can get thoughts, feelings, and emotions while I'm feeling the energy, which is sort of translated and relayed with, as well as get inner visions in my mind's eye. And of course, each being operates different. There's these very much overlaps, but sometimes it's a situation, and I think a lot of the time actually, that they know better how to communicate with us than us, unless we're well acquainted and trained with what our gifts are. And I think everyone's got at least one major tool in their spiritual toolbox that they're great at and may not even understand. And it could be even just receiving information in the dream state. Clairaudience, hearing things, impressions, feelings, emotions, what have you, as I've talked about already. This is important because I think if we look at the perspective of being an experience myself since I was a child and not understanding this, knowing things before they were going to happen, given information, we talked to the doctor once and he said, well, there's nothing negative and these things were occurring. But yet, if it was negative stuff, well, what's done in that case as well? Well, you could go and see a priest, a spiritual advisor, a teacher. This is why clearings are important. Coming back to that, which are free on the website. But the thing is, if I was educated on what was going on, or if there was material out there or reference for my parents to understand this, well, things could be different. And it's not a victim thing, this, that, the other. My thing is with children being intuitive, they're the ones that are here next in the wave to change the world. And we each change the world every single day, every thought, every action. What you do contributes to that. What I'm saying here is to not cut them off, but don't lead them on either. As well as friends that can be experiences. Yourself, you want to be in a situation where you can vent safely, you can share, but there is a situation where leading on can occur and it can be unbeneficial. While looking at the implications of the contact, having these gifts, these abilities, of how does it help you be the best you? Is it for show? Is it for gloating? Is it for helping people? Is it for manipulation? Again, coming back to psychic spying, something I don't do, but I do remote view, and when I'm interacting with people, and if they want assistance and they want me to look into things, well, that can happen. But, you know, it's like even with myself, I'm not just some pet at a zoo that you get to do tricks. It's not about that. So it's just, as always, some food for thought to think about what's being said here. And we all have had experiences where we know who's on the phone when they're calling, and we, haven't even looked at the phone yet. We're hearing it ring, and then it's them. Certain situations occur after we've been thinking about them, certain people, and then they pop up and they come and visit. There's all these different scenarios. These are just glimpses. And because of that, the future's not set in stone. It's what we make it. But the more tools you got available to you, the more that you can do. And the more that you can be of service, and the more you can have situations that can be cultivated, be fruitful, through being more aware with the knowledge. And when you're armed with knowledge, is how you implement it with the wisdom that really is where things take effect.